Hey, welcome to Dr. Teach Me to Parent. Glad you're with us again today, and we have a good program for you, and one that I think will be very instructive and very helpful. So we want you to set aside some time now, get a cup of coffee, set some time aside. We're going to pick up the topic of teaching values and morals in the home within the context of the family. And our special guest today is Pastor Nick Pope of the Sequoia Church here in Fresno area. And he's going to reflect on some of the ways in which he teaches morals and values to his family, and then obviously within the context of the church. So that'll be a good topic. So if you know somebody that might be of interest to this particular topic, or you want to listen to this topic, give them a call and tell them to tune in and be part of the program today. So Dr. Teach Me to Parent, and that's really what we're going to try to do today, is help you be a better parent in this area of teaching values and teaching morals, to your kids. So that's what we're going to do today, and hope you'll find it be very helpful and very fruitful, to you and personally, and then to you as a family. Now, I always start with a little quote, so I want to give you a little quote just to give you a kind of a teaser of what we're going to talk about today. And here's what the quote says: "Wrong is wrong, even if everyone is doing it. Right is right, even though no one else does it." So morals and values are right and wrong in and of themselves. It isn't because there's a popularity vote that we do things that are popular and therefore that's moral or that's a high value or whatever. We don't base our behavior patterns, our decision making, on the basis of what other people are doing and how many are doing it. But we do it on the basis of whether this is really standing the test of time and the test of conscience as to whether this is really right for you, right for your family, or wrong for you and wrong for your family. So that's really the context today of our discussion and how we bring that into family life and how you help your kids think through this issue of moral behavior and values and live by values. Values are what's important. See? We place levels of importance, and we call that a value. High value, low value, if you will. And morals are much more in the context of, is this the right thing to do? Or is this not the right thing to do? So if you kind of put it in that kind of context, we'll do okay today. You'll find it to be very helpful. So, Nick, glad you're with us today. Thank you for joining us today. And I want to start out with you just as a parent. And you and your wife, you have 3 kids. And your kids are how old now? What age? They're in the mid-age now, right?
That's right. I've got a 10-year-old and a 8-year-old and a 6-year-old.
Okay,
2 girls and a boy.
You are a teaching parent.
I am.
You better be.
I am a teaching parent right now.
You are a teaching parent.
Absolutely.
When you got kids in that age, every day is a teaching experience.
Yes.
And every day is a learning experience for the kids. But how do you approach this idea, you and your wife? How do you approach this idea of you want your kids to be moral, to think through morally, and think through what's important, values? How do you kind of start out? What's your beginning point?
Oh, man. It's such a great question. And Dr. Hedberg, thank you so much for having me. It's just a pleasure to be on with all of you. And, it's a funny thing because when you have kids, well, before you have kids, you read the books and you think you know exactly what you're going to do. And then that first kid comes out, and the first thing that I realized was I have no idea what I'm doing. And then we add another one and another one, and in those early years, it's just absolute chaos. You're just, the way I heard one comedian says, it's like you're just drowning.
Well, you're just reacting to circumstances.
Absolutely. And children at that age don't have the cognitive ability yet. They don't understand.
That's right.
But then there's a certain point where you start to realize that they are growing up, and they notice things, and they notice you. And of course, the age we're in now, that's exactly right. And so we really start to think about.
I put that around age 4, 5, 6.
Yep.
You better know that these kids are watching.
Yes.
They're listening. They're learning. Yes. They're reacting. Yes. They're imitating.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they pick up. In fact, my middle daughter, her name is Emmy. She impersonates me all the time.
Oh, yeah.
So she knows what I'm doing and she sees what I'm doing, and you realize too that as a parent, not only are you not perfect, but you realize that the things you do really do matter, and it has an impact on your kids.
But you said something very important. You noticed that your daughter notices you.
Yes.
You know, that's an important point.
Yes.
For parents.
Yes.
Is to be aware that your kids are watching you.
Absolutely.
Be aware your kids are imitating you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, be aware that your kids are kind of learning from you, and they're basing their life on you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you get busy. You got your things you're doing, and all, you kind of forget about that.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Oh, yeah.
But you got a kid there that's watching you every moment.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And they want you to be present with them. They want you to be interested in them. They want to have conversations with you. They want to play games with you. They want to do things with you, and they want you to notice them. I mean, I realize that with my kids, they especially now, my oldest is getting older. She wants to spend more time with us. She's all of a sudden now she's wanting to spend a little bit more time with the adults and chatting with the adults, and all of a sudden she is entering in on our conversations, and we have to think, okay, wait a second, what are we saying? And you start thinking about a whole lot of things because they pick up on everything.
Yeah. You know, we start out with this idea that values and morals are different. And I don't know if you teach them differently or if you teach them the same. You may want to comment on that because, in a sense, morals are you're teaching your kid what is right and what is not right. Yeah. What do we do and what we don't do, really. Yeah. But when you're dealing with values, you're trying to give your kids some priorities.
Yes.
You're saying this is more important than something else.
Yes.
And I always say with parents, there's A, B, and C. You know, A are the things that you have to do.
Yes.
You know, B are the things that, it's good if you did them.
Yeah.
It'd be best if you did them.
Yes.
But if you don't, it's not a big deal.
Yes.
But C are the things that are just optional.
Yes.
And going to a funeral of a friend or a family member, that might be an A.
Yes.
At times.
Yeah.
Maybe another time it's only a B or a C priority. Yes. So priorities aren't fixed.
Yeah. No.
They depend on the circumstances, but there's some levels of importance that you're placing on there. How do you kind of deal with that? Do you teach them just intermix, or we're going to teach morals today, we're going to teach values today?
Yeah. Another great question. And when I take it back to the beginning, everything is an A with a kid, right? With a young child, right? It's because I said so, you're going to do it, and you're going to do it because there's no reason, there's no explanation. It's just I am the parent, and you're going to do what I say, or there'll be consequences. As they get older, though, that's when those questions start to come in of, well, why are we doing this, and why do we teach this? But when I think about values in particular, I consider values the thing that drive everything, right? When you get to a certain point, everything you do is a reflection of your values. So we even teach that to our kids, right? The time that you spend, if you look at your calendar, that's a reflection of your values. You hear those people say, if you invite someone to something, an event that you're having, and they say, oh, I'd love to, but I'm just so busy. Yeah. Well, I never look at that and say, well, it's not that you're so busy. Everybody's got 24 hours in a day.
That's a value.
It's a value.
Then busyness is more important than what you would be doing otherwise.
Exactly. Yeah. And I'll give you an example of that as well. And my kids saw this, is that, so my wife and I are big football fans, and one of the things that my wife does is she's got this side gig with a television company to work NFL games on the sideline, helping run cables. So, and it's her chance to be on the sideline. So we had our week scheduled 2 weeks ago about what we were going to do, and we had our weekend set. And then she got a call from this company that said, "Hey, we need someone to work the Raiders game in Las Vegas. It was going to be on a Monday night." She dropped everything and she got in a car and drove to Vegas to work the game. So she canceled everything else that was going on that weekend to go work it. So now why did she do that? Because it's a value.
That's a value.
That's a value. And that's why and so our kids see now that we do things, every decision we make primarily is a reflection of our values.
Mm-hmm. That ties into a promise, doesn't it? You know, if you make certain promises, you make certain commitments.
Yes.
Whether you keep them or not.
Yes.
That's a value.
Absolutely.
I mean, so that means that you're a promise keeper, if you want to use that term.
Yes.
I guess that's a value.
That's a value. Or you think about showing up on time. It to me is 100% a value.
That's a value.
If I am on time, that means I value your time. It's important to me, right?
Yeah.
If I do not show up on time, then I've got other things that are more important. At least in our context. In other cultures, there's a different understanding of time, but at least in our Western context, timeliness.
And it pays off.
It pays off, and so our kids know that you're going to be on time to things. You're not going to be late to things because it's a value. It's important.
But it pays off, and that's where you come in as a parent. You determine that this value is an important value.
Yes.
Because it is going to help that kid for the rest of his life.
Yes. Yeah.
And so you want to make sure that value is taught.
Yes.
If it's not important,
yeah,
then maybe you don't spend much time on it, or you really don't to teach it at all.
Yes.
But if you think something like being on time is important, you want to make sure your family is known for that.
Yes.
Then you make this a high priority.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then you commend, you praise, you approve the kids every time that you're on time.
Yeah.
And you emphasize that, and you teach it, and you build into it so that it's a very definite value and a definite teaching point that you have in your life as a family.
Yeah. For sure, though, I will disclosure, we're not always on time. There's times when we run late and things like that. And I say that just because, as always, a reminder is that we always, things don't always work out perfectly. And things happen. Life happens. So.
But I mean, you have to be flexible. But but maybe even flexibility is a value.
Well, that's
maybe that's the kind of a important thing you want to teach kids. That, not everything is what we promised.
That's exactly
not everything
right.
that we planned.
Yes.
There are things that come in and you have to put aside and be flexible. Now you talk about your wife.
Yes.
Gets a call and has to put everything down and then go there on Monday night and come back and pick up all her responsibilities on Tuesday.
That's exactly right. And there was a lot of flexibility. There was a lot of flexibility that happened that weekend, both on my end and on her end. So it was
So
important.
if you think about it, you're teaching these values to these kids all the time.
Yes.
I mean, you're basically a teacher 24 hours a day, within the context of the home.
Yes.
And you got to think through how you live, think through how you talk to the kids, the stories that you tell, things you read, things you read to the kids. Have you made that a important part of your family life? Reading to the kids stories that have value-based, biblical stories that have certain teaching points to them. I mean, have you made that part of your family life?
Yes, we're really now encouraging the children to read in a way that can understand. We're realizing that at this age, their ability to read and being in the habit of reading is essential. And it's more important now than ever because we live in a digital age where people are fixed to their computer screens or to their iPads or their iPhones. And so forgetting the importance of reading and really understanding that reading is the key to all learning.
When the kids is on iPads and they're on their YouTubes and they're on their social media and they're on their games and all the rest, a lot of hours of the day.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
And you always think in terms of, although there's something to be learned from that. You learn how to strategize, you learn how to plan, you learn how to make choices. I mean, it's not all bad.
No.
But there are certain things that you're not then learning.
Yes.
If you're spending a lot of hours in one area of your life, that means you're not spending time in another area where you really could learn something.
Yes.
And I think that's where parents have to kind of give thought to it in terms of, what is my kid doing?
Yes.
How many hours of the day is he doing it?
Yes.
And what is he learning from it?
Yes.
And what would I want him to learn by doing something different?
Yes. Yes. We've had to obviously make an adjustment like everyone else because of the pandemic. And we are homeschooling our kids now, which was never part of our plan, but it's what we're doing. And what we have found during this time is that because of the schoolwork being online, being on iPads, they're on iPads more than ever. So what my wife did, which was really helpful, was she's created a checklist, a daily checklist for each of the kids of what they must do, and it includes things like you need to be creative, you need to go out and explore, you need to get exercise.
You're defining your values now.
We're telling them,
you're telling them what's important.
But we give them the flexibility to say, here's the checklist. We don't care when you do it. It just needs to get done. So now they're owning it. They know they've got to do this, and it kind of empowers them because what we're finding in this age is that you really want to start giving them the power to understand that they can make choices and then understand the effect of that. I
call that a value. That's a value of independent making.
Yes,
decision making.
absolutely.
So you want a kid to be independent.
Absolutely.
So to be independent, you have to help them make independent choices and decisions. And that's how you do it. That's how you start.
That was it's funny you say that. That's a really important value for us. And I mean, it goes back to the beginning of when you meet somebody, you're not allowed to be shy. We don't tell an adult, oh, they're just shy. We make them know you're going to introduce yourself and say, hello, it's nice to meet you. This is who I am. If someone asks you a question, you answer them, because that's important. And then if there's something that they want, even when they were 4 and 5 and things like that, if they wanted something, like let's say we're at a restaurant, we would make them ask the waitress or ask the waiter or go up to the counter if you would like something. And so from a very young age, they learned that because it's a value independent, you're going to do this.
So you become a teaching parent.
Yes.
I mean, really, everything you do.
Yes.
And I think this is really what effective parenting is. You everything you do, you think through, okay, what am I teaching my kid?
Yes.
what am I trying to teach my kid?
Yes.
Now, whether he learns it or not,
that's a whole
that's
other
another whole question. But at least I'm there trying to teach him to make independent choices.
Yes.
To treat people friendly,
Yes.
or kindly,
Yeah.
or at least be
Yeah.
open to other people, and
Yeah.
to talk,
Yes.
and as compared to being withheld and being part of the social event.
Yes.
I mean, that's values.
Yeah, it's a value. It's very much a value, and it's something that
Being a
is-
person, if you will.
Absolutely.
Being a full person.
Yeah. Well,
entering into your environment and into your world.
Yes, yeah, it's kind of a common grace, and it's important that we want to extend that, and we want our kids to know that, and we want our kids to know that you have to be independent in life. That we're on a destination towards adulthood, and we want, what kind of adult do we want this person to be?
There you
right?
are.
And the thing that I'm discovering is that it goes quick. It goes a lot faster than I thought. It's almost like we never thought we were going to get out of the diapers and the terrible twos, but
No, you never think you're
no. But then once
you get out of it.
we do.
That all goes away.
Well, it's almost like we jump from a slow boat to an express train that is just going, and so we realize time's short, and so we've got to put in as much time as we can with our kids, and that's another value of that we need to invest in our kids and spend time with them, because the more we invest and spend time in a relationship with them, I believe I'm finding the more credibility we will have with them, and the more they will listen to us when we have to maybe discipline them, or we have to have a consequence for them.
Well, that's a value.
Yeah.
That's a value in itself. There are things you don't do.
Yes.
And if you do them, then there's a consequence.
That's right.
I mean, that's how you teach that value.
That's right. Yeah.
And the morality of it is also true.
Yes.
There are certain things that are not right.
Yes.
We don't do them because they're not right. They're not good for you. They're not good for anybody else.
Yes.
They don't have any value. They don't have
right.
any benefit.
Yes.
So it's not a moral behavior.
Yes.
That you really want to encourage then.
Well, and I think that the way that we explain morals is really it ultimately, what makes something right, when you live your life that way, when you live a life with morals and ethics, really you benefit. You benefit from all of that. Other people benefit from that. It's a better life. And so what we try to even see with morals is people to see, oh, this is better, and this is why, and down the road it actually pays off. And I know for me, I knew when I was younger, I guess because I was a middle child, I was able to watch what my older siblings did.
Oh, okay,
and I realized, there's certain things that put them in a position where they had less freedom.
Yeah.
And I noticed that, and I realized, well, if you do the right thing, it actually is a path to freedom. And so I took ownership of that, and by the time I got in high school, I didn't have a curfew. I was free to go wherever I wanted, to do what I wanted to do. I had a job. I was able to drive, and my parents basically, my last 3 years in high school, I was able to do what I wanted to do, because I was able to see that when you do the right thing, when you follow through with things, when you have morals, and that's something that you value, it actually sets you free. It's an amazing thing.
And you must have established a trust pattern.
Yes, that's right.
Over how many years?
Yes.
But I mean, you develop a trust pattern when all of a sudden your parents say,
yes,
we can trust him.
We can trust me.
So this happened at your sophomore year in high school.
Yes,
whatever.
Yes.
But it's where your parents come to that realization that the values now are in.
Yeah.
And morals have now been taught.
Yeah.
The lifestyle is now being formed and revolving around these values and these morals, and we have trust.
Yes. And then as that moved forward, I think about, I was living in South Carolina for high school, and I wanted to come out to California. I actually wanted to go to Fresno State and become a Bulldog, believe it or not. And so I found a way to make that happen. And by the time I graduated high school, I actually hopped on a train and went down to Florida, and then hopped on a plane and went to California and got started. And it was a huge blessing to be able to do that. And again, my parents just felt confident enough in me to say, okay, yeah, he can do it. Because that trust you talked about was
you
built
established that over a number of years. I mean, so it anchored.
Yeah. And trust is something that it takes time to build.
Yeah.
It takes time to build. It does not just happen overnight. But the more trustworthy you show.
You used a term a minute ago, common grace.
Yes.
I haven't heard that in a long time. What do you mean by that? How did you're using it relative to kind of the values, and values are a common grace. What do you mean by that?
Well, I mean, I think a common grace is what you extend to people. I think everybody needs a bit of grace in their interactions.
I see.
And that's really important, And the reason why that's important is because there can be differences in values, and so and I'll go back to the thing about timeliness. Well, I value being on time. Okay, well, if I'm down, there are certain contexts and cultures where actually being on time it can almost be a bit rude, and the reason why is because now you're putting pressure on the host. So, for example, I go. Twice a year to Costa Rica. We do some missions work down there. And in Costa Rica, if there's a party that's being held, it is rude to be on time. And why is that? Because you're extending grace to the host that they may not be ready yet. Yeah. So I don't want to get on time and get there on time and
make them feel
comfortable.
Exactly.
So when I look at common grace, I say that's just something that needs to be extended to everyone. And then, of course, I also look at it also is when you are meeting people, when you are interacting with people, that you greet them, that you shake their hand, that you look at them in the eye, and so. Not buying the excuse that says, oh, well, you're just an introvert or you're or you're shy, so therefore that's why. Not making an excuse for that, and so to realize that in again we teach our children that in society there's a certain amount of courtesy and respect that needs to happen between individuals, and sadly I think we've lost a lot of that in the last few years, and I'd love to see it come back.
We really have. Yeah. We become very self-centered.
Yes.
And we don't think in terms of how our behavior affects other people.
Nope.
As much as we maybe could and should.
Yep.
And of course, that's a value.
Absolutely.
You value yourself more than anybody else.
Yes, that's right.
You devalue other people.
Yes.
So why give them common grace?
That's exactly right.
Value other people. You only give common grace to other people because you value them,
that's right.
You think about them, or you think well about them, and you want them to have the best.
Yes, and I think with that also the ability, and this just kind of fits in with emotional intelligence, but again, this is an important thing for kids is to be able to know who you are and to understand your wiring, your personality type, your behavioral style, and helping kids even see that just even at an early age. Of course, it's not fully developed yet, but understanding that, so that way, when you're interacting with people who have a different behavioral style than you or a different personality with you, you can understand why they're behaving the way that they're behaving, and then you're able to actually, in many ways, be able to have a positive relationship with that person, even if they're a different personality than you.
Yeah. How do you, as a parent, though, you got 3 kids?
Yes.
Obviously, you're not committed to having those 3 kids be the same.
No.
You would hope that they would have some similarities.
Yes.
And you would hope that they would share a common ground of behavior and attitudes and values. How do you meet the individual needs of a kid? I mean, they're all growing, and so they're all at different ages, but do you recognize that this kid has a certain ability that's different from this kid over here, and how do you handle that as a parent?
Yeah, but it's something that I've really enjoyed watching happen as they grow older, is watching them develop what their interests are and what they like and what they don't like, and then you learn how to connect with them, and so for example, my son Micah really loves to connect over playing games together, where we pretend like we have swords or we're superheroes and we go into a superhero fight or and who has the most superpowers, and we enjoy that with my oldest daughter, my middle daughter too. They love when we sing and dance, and so when I'm with them, they love it the most. It's a very different thing, is to say, oh, let's get together and let's have a dance party, we call it, and they absolutely love it. They love being able to get out and do that. So understanding what those differences are and what they like and what they don't like, and reaching them there. And I think, again, as a parent, you really have to identify what it is that your child really enjoys, and you've got to meet him there with that, so that they know. They have to know, because I think for me, especially me as the father, I tend to be more of the disciplinarian. So the balance I have to strike is know when to be firm, but also know when to be gentle and when to be tender. That's why actually the Bible says, "Do not exacerbate your children." The admonishment to fathers is that there needs to be a sense of I am firm, and you're going to do what I say, but my love, I'm present with you. You know that I'm actually for you, and that I love you, and that I'm not against you.
Yeah.
And it allows, I think, me as a dad especially, to be able to be more firm when I need to be firm.
But I think you've got a good point there, though, that you already have kids that have different points of entry into their life.
Yes.
And you have to kind of know that.
Yes.
And then find that.
Yes.
I mean, sometimes it's not easy to find that
No.
point of entry into a kid's life.
No.
They change, and sometimes they don't really reveal it very well,
Yeah.
but every kid has a point of entry.
That's right.
And you, as a parent, have to find that.
Yeah.
And then you have to build your life with that child through that point of entry.
Yes.
That's value
Yeah.
thinking.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
not right or wrong necessarily, but
No.
it's what's important. If you're going to connect with your kid, that's what's important.
Absolutely.
Then you got to find that point of entry.
That's right. That's right. Well, I never wanted to be, that dad that said you were never there for me.
I hear it all the time.
You hear it all the time.
Oh,
right?
I heard it yesterday in my office.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah, you were never there for me, and I realize the time is short. I want to be there, and I think it also requires, as parents, it requires some intentionality. It really does. There's a discipline as parents that parenting doesn't simply happen.
Yeah.
That you have got to take the time, which means sometimes you have to give up things that you enjoy and that you want to do, so you can be present with your kids.
I have a grandson that is into baseball. And he's 10, 12, whatever he is right at this point in time. He's a baseball nut. His bedroom is a museum of baseball memorabilia.
Wow.
That he's picked up everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, stuff that's very high quality and very expensive and very one of a kind.
Wow.
Because he has searched and sought out these kind of things, and he displays it in his bedroom as a museum.
Oh, my word.
So when you go there, you have to spend an hour just him telling you his recent acquisitions into his museum.
Yes.
And I mean, baseball cards are galore.
Oh, my word.
And all the baseballs and all the things that he's done and all the pictures and all the other paraphernalia that he has. But that's a point of entry.
Yes.
And that kid enjoys sharing his life.
Yes.
In that case with me.
Yes.
But with anybody who comes along.
Yeah.
Because that's his point of entry.
Yes.
So you better find out what it is and then develop it. Help the kid develop it. And make a value out of it.
Right.
And make it a point of importance in the child's life.
Yeah. Well, and I think even if it's something that isn't necessarily important to you. So maybe if you weren't a baseball fan, right? Learning, though, to appreciate and connect with them on that level.
Yeah.
My son loves parkour. It's kind of that outdoor ninja style athleticism where you're going on monkey bars and it's like gymnastics 2.0 for the street, right? Okay, I'm not a big parkour fan, right? But he is, and he's in classes, and so I'm learning how to appreciate what it is that he's doing.
You better.
Yeah, but at the same time too, I think it's important that your kids also learn things that maybe they initially don't want to, or that's uncomfortable. Because I found, for example, I actually force my kids to learn golf, and the reason why I do that is because it's hard, it's difficult, and it's a good opportunity for them to learn a new skill. Because one thing that I'm finding is that sometimes kids they don't like the idea of practice, of the struggle, of the discipline, and they don't understand that everything does not just come easy. That to be successful at an art or at a sport or anything like that, or music, it requires a tremendous amount of practice, and it's hard. It's not easy.
I've always said that a parent's responsibility is to teach kids how to play, and we'll say with sports, a variety of sports.
Yes.
You could have a variety of music or whatever. Now, then they choose what they stay with.
Yes.
And what they will pursue.
Yes.
Your job as a parent is to introduce them.
Yes.
To archery and to deep sea fishing and to black belt wrestling or whatever it might be. Just all the various sports. You introduce them.
Yes.
And then you say, now it's up to you.
Now it's up to you.
If you want to pursue one, I'll help you.
Yeah.
I'll do it with you. If you want to do something different, that's okay too.
Yeah.
But that's value living.
Value.
I mean, teaching a kid, it's value to have a sport.
Yeah.
It's value to have a musical instrument.
Yeah.
It's valuable to have a musical taste.
Yes.
Appreciation.
Yes.
And now what you have is, that's I can't control that.
Yes. Yeah.
But I can introduce you.
Yes.
That's what a parent job is.
And a value, and there it's a value, your value and commitment and follow through, and all those things are doing the things that you say they're going to do. I mean, really, it goes back to valuing the idea of the ability to lead yourself, which is one of the most important values. I think all people, but especially kids, need to learn is how do you lead yourself. And most people, in many ways, it starts there. I mean, you could be intelligent, you could be skilled, you could be talented, but if you don't have self-leadership, then then you're not going to get off the launching pad.
But isn't it true though? Everything you want to teach a child, important though it may be, you better have it yourself.
Absolutely.
You better have an independent decision-making ability. You better have something that you pursue as a sport. Or you better have some area of music that you enjoy. You better have some reading. That you enjoy. If you're going to teach that to your kid. Where does it start?
Absolutely.
I mean, sometimes kids bring it to you. That's very true. But usually you bring it to the child.
That's right.
So you share your life with the child. And you bring it into the life of the child.
Yes.
Have you done that? You have
Oh, yes. Yeah. Well, and I have lots of interests in things that I like, and I do like to. Well, actually, that's part of the reason why I'm making my kids learn golf, because I really enjoy it, and we actually live on a golf course, so it's nice then to be able to go out anytime and play, and so I really enjoy it, and so I'm teaching them. You're going to learn it, because I want to play with you when you're an adult, and I get older, and I want to go out and that's going to be a great bonding time. That's important. Now, if they after a while just say, "Hey, I don't want to do it again," okay, fine, but you're going to at least learn. You're going to try.
But see, you said it very important. I want you to learn it.
Yes.
It doesn't mean you have to honor it. You don't have to enjoy it. You don't have to do it all the time. But I want you to learn it. So that if you ever play golf, you know how to do it. If you're ever invited to play golf, you know how to do it.
Well, you think about how many of those things as an adult that you regret because when you were a kid you quit. And you didn't follow through with something, and you didn't continue on, whatever it is, a music or a sport or a hobby or something creative, and there's regret that you didn't do that, and so you realize as you're an adult, man, I wish I'd spent more time, practicing or doing whatever that I needed to do, and so then you learn, okay, well, your kids, you want to teach them, hey,
very much,
you're going to be an adult one day, and you're going to look back, and it's going to happen, so you need to be prepared for it.
Then we're going to take a break.
Okay.
When we come back, I want to ask you the question. You're a pastor. How do you use your pastoring to teach values and morals to your congregation or to the community? I mean, it's not just the congregation that comes there and visits with you on Sunday, but I'm sure you have access to the community at other times as well. So how do you represent kind of a point of values or a point of morals to a community, just as a pastor? What are you committed to, and how do you do that? And maybe every pastor does it differently, but how do you do it? So anyway, thanks for joining us. We're going to come back in a little bit as we talk about living and teaching values and morals in family life. So see you in a few minutes.
The in-house services we offer here at Total Life Change: anger management, one-on-one biblical counseling. We do a marriage enrichment, codependency and chemical dependency one-on-one counseling. We have a relapse prevention piece. We also do a lot of workshops where we inform and educate people on different topics. There is one-on-one individual sessions, and we also have group therapy that we work in a group. We find that can be so advantageous when you know you're not alone. The key is to call, email, online, and get a hold of one of the receptionists here, and we will do an assessment. We are not here to direct, guide, and force. We're here to meet you where you're at, then direct, then guide, and then give you options to break free.
The Green Gables Care Home is a 24-hour assisted living facility for the elderly located in Clovis, California, offering spacious private and semi-private rooms which are wheelchair approved, catering to the special person in your life who needs attention and wants to live in a loving home environment. The Green Gables Care Home has assisted living in secured homes for elderly with Alzheimer's, memory loss, and for your loved ones needing assistance with their activities of daily living. Call 559-297-9438 and visit greengablescarehome.com.
Sometimes good intentions hurt rather than help. For just $1.76 per meal, the Fresno Rescue Mission offers more than food. We offer hope. Please donate today.
Do you need a locksmith? Layman's Lock and Safe Service and Repair is available for you. 559-228-1805.
Gained a lot, learned a lot, and got a lot of love. If it weren't for the knowledge that I had gained from the classes at PCC, I probably wouldn't be the mom I am today. See, there it goes.
I would love you to meet my son, Aaron. My situation was very difficult. I didn't know how my life was going to turn out.
We graduated in June 2010 and we got married in July. And through family, the Pregnancy Care Center changed our lives.
The Pregnancy Care Center was a huge, vital part in helping me walk through that pregnancy, in educating me and loving on me during that time.
Choosing a Medicare plan can be difficult and frustrating. Susan Hatch can guide you through the Medicare maze and help find the right plan for you. Susan helps people understand the confusing and drastic changes that occur every year in Medicare. Susan will only recommend plans that will protect your assets and allow you to continue to see your personal doctor. As a 100% independent agent, Susan is not controlled by any particular insurance company to steer a person onto any one particular plan. Susan was awarded the #1 Medicare supplement agent in California. Look for Susan's Medicare question and answers every Monday in the Fresno Bee. Call Susan at 559-307-2287 and visit MedicareToday.net.
When I set foot on the campus to come visit it, I was struck by how open and how welcoming the students and the professors were. Coming to Gordon was like coming home.
I think intentional community is what Jesus modeled with his disciples, and Gordon has really fostered a good place for intentional community to happen.
Gordon is a place where you can meet people from all over the world and hear their stories. I meet a lot of different people who are shaping who I am today.
Gordon seeks to graduate men and women of character and of leadership, and the world is the place where Gordon students belong.
Choosing to go to Gordon was, I think, one of the best decisions I've made in my life. I expect to be changed.
All right, welcome back, and welcome to Teach Me to Parent. We're looking today at the topic of values and morals, and how you live and how you teach that in the context of family life, and how we bring families together around themes of values and themes of morals, not just activity and being busy and all that kind of thing, but how do you really bring a family together and they share something in common? They share the values, they share the morals together. So today we're discussing this topic, and Reverend Pastor Nick Pope is with us as our special guest. Church is the Sequoia Church on Kings Canyon and Fowler. So if you're looking for a church and you want to go somewhere tomorrow, go there. And what time we start tomorrow?
Well, actually, we're not going to be at our building. We're going to be at the backyard of one of our members, a beautiful backyard at 10 a.m. So, but you're welcome to come to that as well.
Okay. Now, we were talking about values and morals of how you as a family operate, how you bring it into the context of your kids. But you're also a pastor. So I assume then that you have on your schedule of preaching, certain topics or certain issues that you really want your people to come in terms with and know about and to accept. We'll call them values, we'll call them morals. How do you do that? How do you bring that into your church setting?
Well,
got different ages, so
that's right. That's right. I mean, in many ways, the way that I connect, obviously, is as a pastor and as a preacher, as a communicator. I use the Bible, and my sermons actually come from the Scripture. So I never like to actually be someone that lectures someone on what they should or shouldn't do. What I do instead is I let the text speak and let the text speak out, and then from there you see, okay, this is why we live our lives the way that we live our lives. This is why morals are important. It's something that when you understand, I think, Scripture and you understand it, the way that it was meant to be written, morals are actually almost fruit that come out of your life. It almost comes out naturally rather than you trying to do something to look a certain way. I guess the way I contrast it is real fruit as opposed to ornaments on a tree. And see, so if I look at morals and say, you've got to do this, you've got to do this, you've got to do this,
ornaments on tree.
Yeah, well, you know what? That can get shaken up and fallen off.
That's right.
But however, if it's something that's within you, and that actually goes again back to values. I think all of a sudden that sprouts from outside of you, and then of course, what does real fruit do? It blesses people with food to eat, but it also becomes seeds and goes into the ground and reproduces.
Yeah.
And so, whereas ornaments on a tree are not able to do that.
So you have every Sunday the opportunity to introduce that idea.
Yes.
That theme.
Yes.
Would you say that is a basic theme of your church and your preaching and your style? I mean, everybody's different. Every pastor is different, perhaps.
Yeah.
But is that important
for
you to, because of your congregation, the age that they are, and so on?
Yeah. Well, I've just found that there's that saying, a person convinced against their will is of the same opinion still. And I think that when you simply try to beat people over the head with what they should or shouldn't do, you might make them feel guilty. You might make them feel uncomfortable. But is there really going to be change? And I really believe that change always is a heart issue. It comes from within. It's something has to change inside of here, and only when something changes inside of here will it affect how you live out there. And so I think that's an important thing.
So your church then is for all ages, obviously.
Yes.
But do you really focus on a certain age group? I mean, are you appealing to a certain age group?
Yeah, not
because of this very
point.
Well,
not. I mean, it's interesting. Our context, or the two features about our church is that we do have different age groups, which we love. We're actually very thankful. We're blessed that we have a lot of both. We have families and you've got parents and grandparents and even great grandparents that are there, which is just a huge blessing for everyone to be together. And of course, I just so appreciate the benefit of having different ages and the wisdom of those who are older and of course the energy of those that are younger and so there's a variety that's there, and of course our church is very much focused on we're in Southeast Fresno, we're in Sunnyside, and so we're very much focused on being for the community. So really being a place where the community comes and gathers and finds
You
place.
know, the Catholic Church has always had catechism for kids as a way of teaching children the Catholic faith.
Yes.
And I think how to live.
Yes.
I think they've taught morals and values, as well. The Protestant Church used to do that, but it isn't doing that so much anymore.
Yes.
They backed off from that. What do you think about that?
Well, yeah, I think it is a tremendously beneficial tool. In fact, our church is a part of the Reformed Church in America, which is the oldest Protestant denomination in the country. It actually was founded before the United States was founded, and one of the documents that holds together our church and our beliefs is the Heidelberg Catechism, which was written over 500 years ago, and it's a series of questions and answers that helps children, but adults to understand their faith.
I'm sure it's been modernized.
Yes, some of the language has, and there's other
Yeah.
catechisms as well that you can use that can help teach, and it is a very helpful thing. And in fact, there's one family in our congregation that is very good about catechizing their children, and you see the benefit in the way that the children just grow and they understand their faith so much more.
Yeah, well, we've walked away from this idea of the teaching parent.
Yes.
Whether you're teaching skills or you're teaching some form of religious thought or belief or faith or behavior pattern, we've walked away from that idea of parents being teaching parents.
Yes.
They're busy.
Yes.
Parents are 2 jobs.
Yes.
Not coming home until last minute, getting dinner, moving on to the evening program. I mean, it's a tough thing to do.
Yeah.
Parents have kind of slipped away from that idea of how do you handle that? Are you trying to get your parents in the church to pick up that responsibility again and be the teaching parent?
Yeah, it certainly is a challenge, especially during these times. The fact that you've got both parents that usually work full-time jobs, and it makes time difficult, and it makes so in that situation you have to be even more intentional about what you do with your time.
Yeah. Let me ask you a question. You came from a background, and you have 2 good grandparents.
Yes.
And, 4, I assume.
4, yes, yeah.
But the 2 that I know, one died, and you still have a grandmother.
Yes.
Did they play an important role in your life as
my
a
goodness.
teaching
Oh, my
grandparent?
goodness.
I mean, beyond your own parents.
No, my grandfather Wilbur was an incredible man of faith and unbelievable work ethic.
Tell me about him. People should know him.
Oh well, if you just Google the name Wilbur Plogger, you can find out about his life. But I would say if you look in the history of both cowboys and rodeos in the last 50 years, you would find him as being one of the most well-known. He's in almost every Cowboy Hall of Fame. I think there's 12 in the country. He is in all of them. He, of course, was an unbelievable horseman and cattleman and just a hard worker, but he loved to share his faith, and he was always looking to share his faith. So he was really, really remarkable. But then my grandmother, actually, I am very close to, even to this day, and so thankful for her. She really taught me from a very young age. She would pick me up, and I would ride in her car, and she would just help me understand faith in such a way. In fact, I would say, let's talk about God, and she would talk and share, and of course she taught me the value of generosity and just being a generous, giving person, and how important that is, and she really has played such a significant role in my life, and I'm thankful. And I'll tell you, for all you grandparents out there, you play such an important role. The grandparent connection and bond is very special. So I say that just because just knowing my grandmother, and I'm just thankful that she's still alive, and she's 91, and so just thankful even now for that. And now I'm actually grateful because my kids know her. She's as a great grandmother.
So what's the message to a grandparent watching this program today?
Spend time with your grandkids. They need you. They need you, and they need you not as a parent, but as a grandparent. They need you to be present, to be loving, to spend time, to be intentional, to care about them. makes such an important impact. And I'm noticing it now as my kids are growing up, as they're getting older, just how special it is and how important it is. And I'm very thankful because both my mom and dad and my in-laws are so intentional with my kids, and even now we're blessed because we're homeschooling that certain days of the week my kids go to my mother-in-law, who's a retired teacher, which is a huge blessing. But then other days they go to my mom's, and they actually go for a lost art. They go to learn home economics. And home economics is not taught in schools now. Sadly, but so they go and they're learning about sewing and about baking and cooking, and they enjoy it. So my grandparents my
Which
parents
I see
are
that all
blessing.
part of a value.
Absolutely.
That's independent living.
Absolutely.
That's being self-sufficient.
That's it.
It's being self-reliant.
Yes.
Having those skills.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's so important.
So it doesn't matter just learning how to cook cookies or whatever.
No.
But you're really learning how to be independent, take care of yourself, and if there's a need there, you can step up the plate and take care of yourself.
That's right. How do you read a recipe?
You're not dependent upon somebody else for everything.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Which goes right back to the values we were talking about before. So, yeah, absolutely.
If you were going to identify 5 values that our audience out there would be wise to focus on, and make sure that they can tick off those 5 values in their family. Say, we've taught them, we live them, we practice them, we advocate for them, we are known by them.
Yeah.
Are there 5 that you could just tick off? I mean, there are 100 of them.
There are so many. Right off the top, I would say faith is so important as a value. I think that no matter what your faith is, you need to know that you're not an accident. That your life has purpose and your life has meaning, and so much of what we do is because faith is important, and there's a value that's there. I would definitely say grace is a value, and the reason why is because none of us are able to live up to what we expect of ourselves. Nobody is.
Well,
nobody can.
We always fall short.
Always fall short. I mean, again, you don't even have to be a religious person to realize that look at the things that you say that you're going to do,
and then whether you do them,
and you do them, right? So I think I think that is also important. Obviously,
you got to give yourself grace, but you also have to give other people grace.
You have to give other people grace.
You give yourself a little forgiveness. Give other people forgiveness.
Yeah, exactly.
That's 2. What's your third
that's
one?
2. Third one, I would say family, of course, is a value, and that again, I look at values as where do I want to spend my time, where I want to put my priorities, and I think that's family is such an important value. You don't choose your family, and
that's right.
And so spending time with them is important, and being a part of that. So I would say family is really, really important.
Okay, that's number 3. That's gone. You're doing fine. What's your 4th one?
I think commitment is also important.
Yeah.
I think that doing what you say you're going to do.
Your word is important.
Your word is important.
Yeah.
Following through with what you say that you're going to do. I remember reading a book called The Magic of Thinking Big, and too many people suffer from excuse-itis, where they have an excuse for absolutely everything. They use their health, frankly, as an excuse. That they use their situation as an excuse, and so I think commitment is also really, really important.
Okay, that's 4.
That's 4. Okay, got one more. Okay, and I would say the last one is perseverance. I would say, and it follows kind of like with commitment, but it's a continuing. It's a continuing on. It's a continuing to pursue, to not give up. When things are difficult, because when you live life, everyone is going to go through difficulty. Everyone is going to go through difficult times.
Yeah.
You're going to face it. You're going to face a loved one that has cancer, or you're going to face cancer, or some other illness, or a virus,
pain,
or
you have headaches, and
absolutely
illness and sickness,
and we have to be able to persevere through those difficulties, through those struggles. And really, it's amazing because that's how you grow. You grow out of the struggle.
Well, otherwise you give up.
You give up.
I mean, you have perseverance on one end of the continuum. The other one is giving up, I guess.
Absolutely.
You're just not trying anymore, and you give in.
That's exactly right. Yeah, absolutely.
Then you lose. That's lose.
Just it.
Win, lose.
Yeah. Well, and again, if you say you don't want someone to quit, well, perseverance is a value, right? Because I'm not going to quit. I had to learn that when I started learning golf. I had to learn. It's a daily a lesson in humility. You know, and right when you think you got it, you don't. You know, but you've got to persevere and not quit and continue on. I think that's so important in so many things in life. Too many people quit.
You know, there's a quote I'd like to give. We're going to come to a conclusion here in a minute, and I want to ask you the question before we end in terms of words you really have for mom and dad.
Okay.
You know, the parents, particularly dad. Focus on dad.
Okay.
What's your final word, you know, to dad? But here's a quote that's I think is important, and you can pick it up and use this as your entree to that. One thing you can give and still keep is your word. You know, that's kind of an interesting word that you just said, is that you give your word to somebody, but you can keep your word too.
Yes, that's right.
And that's an important behavior pattern. It's an important value.
Yes.
Well, your word must mean something.
That's right.
You know, when you speak, people must listen.
Yes.
I mean, that's what you want.
That's right.
And when you promise, you follow through.
Yes.
You know, when you say no, it's no. If you say yes, it's yes.
Yes.
I mean, parenting, that's what parenting succeeds on.
Yes.
Is the word of the parent.
Yes.
And so many times we just let it go by the wind.
Yeah, yeah.
We say one thing today and a different thing tomorrow, or we say yes and then we say no, and then we say no and we say yes.
Yeah. I would say keep your word even when others don't.
There you are.
Keep your word even when others don't.
Okay, what do you have for dad? What's your word, Dad?
I would say, dads out there, what we do is so important. I think that we sometimes can lose sight of that. And your kids want to be with you. They want to spend time with you. It really does take a mom and a dad to raise children, and sometimes it doesn't work out that way. And there's circumstances, but children are looking for their dads to be the one that invests, to spend time, to play, to be interested, to notice, to do the things that are important. And so I would just encourage you, dads, to do that. Spend time with your kids. Be intentional with that, whether it be taking your girls out on dates or taking your son to some kind of fun activity. You don't want to look down the road 15, 20 years after they're grown up and think, wow, I wish I was there. Yeah. Because time is so fast.
Absolutely.
And it races by.
Fortunate is the kid that has a dad that's involved.
Yes.
That spends time with kids and has made parenting and child relationships important.
Yes.
Very, very fortunate kid has a dad like that.
Yes.
But also fortunate is a kid that has a mother who helps the father become involved and facilitates that.
Yes.
And brings the father into the life of the kids.
Yes.
That kid has got a good mother.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
I was thinking what mothers can do, but one big thing that mothers can do is help dad become a vital person in the life of a kid.
Yes. And moms and dads, you parent together. You do it together, and that is so important that you don't just abdicate just to one, but that it's a partnership raising kids.
There you are. Yeah. Hey, thanks for joining us today.
Appreciate it.
Nick Pope, Pastor Nick Pope, Sequoia Church on Fowler and Kings Canyon. So if you're looking for a church, there's a good one for you. Check it out, and Nick will be there to greet you at the door, I'm sure. So thanks for joining us today, and see you next week. Bye for now.
Thank you.